Look, you probably know the rules to a Nuzlocke by now, right? I mean, Nuzlockes have swept YouTube in the past year or two, but it's kind of hard to apply Nuzlocke rules to a couple games in the Pokémon series. Specifically Pokémon Colosseum and Pokémon XD for the GameCube. See, in Pokémon Colosseum, there are only 48 obtainable Pokémon throughout the game, and the majority of those Pokémon are trash. On top of that, every single battle in this game is a double battle, which means you need to think a lot more about synergy in your team composition. The way I got around these rules for this video is by allowing myself to catch every single Pokemon I come across in the game to get around the limited encounters, and I mean, there's no way around the double battle thing, but I've been playing this game since I was a stupid baby, and I think I know it well enough to play decently well. Plus, I sort of have a bit of background in VGC, so I should be fine, right? So this game literally starts with a bang as Team Snagem's hideout explodes. We play as an ex-Team Snagem member named Wes, and we blow up their hideout in order to steal the Snag Machine, a device that converts Pokeballs into Snag Balls and allows us to steal Pokemon from their trainers. We make a quick getaway in our motorbike with our trusty Umbreon and Espeon and head to the outskirt stand. We see a couple guys talk and get into a truck with a body bag in the back, I'm sure there's nothing going on there, and watch the news to bask in the glory of the literal terrorist attack we just committed. This guy named Willie with pink hair and one of the only two normal names in all the Ore region challenges us to a battle, and I can't refuse because the battle theme in this game is just too damn good. Willie is the first battle in the game and his only Pokemon are two Zigzagoons. Normally these would know Pin Missile in any other Gen 3 Pokemon game, but we start with a Psychic and Dark-type Pokemon, so Genius and already knew better than that. We easily destroy both of them in only 2 turns. We head to the nearby Phoenix City at Willie's recommendation, running into those two shady guys from the outskirt stand again. We fight one of them, named Folly, who uses 2 Whismur. I honestly didn't think you could get much more pathetic than 2 Zigzagoons, but this man proved me wrong. After defeating Folly, we free this girl from the bag. She says her name was Rui, and she was kidnapped because she could see the aura of a weird Pokemon they were using. We meet this creepy Sephiroth-looking guy outside the mayor's house and then meet the mayor himself. He promises to launch an investigation into the weird Pokemon and says that we should check out Phoenix Stadium while we're in town. Unfortunately, the challenge already started at the stadium, so we try to leave, but get ambushed by Team Snagem. They tell Rui that we're ex-Team Snagem, but she just kinda shrugs it off and we blast them with confusion until they go away. Then we go to the outskirt stand to buy some Pokeballs, which are only sold at the outskirt stand because there's no need for them in Ore, because there's no wild Pokemon. Upon returning, the people at the entrance of Phoenix say that some strange men were walking towards the mayor's house. We head there and meet the most wonderful character to spawn for Pokemon Colosseum and then fight Folly again. He's easy enough, but then we fight Trudely, who uses the weird Pokemon Rui saw. This Makuhita is what's called a Shadow Pokemon, and these are the encounters for this game. The thing about Shadow Pokemon is, they can't level up. They're stuck at whatever level you catch them at, and the only move they can use at first is Shadow Rush, a typeless 90 power move with an 80% critical hit rate under certain conditions. This sounds powerful, and it can be, but you'll find that more often than not I'll just be switching Shadow Pokemon out until they learn new moves to use in battle. Makuhita here has a 100% catch rate, so I catch it and add it to the team. Anyway, once we leave, we get a choice of 3 grunts to fight. This is our starter choice for the game. I fight the one who has a Shadow Bayleaf and catch it to add a decently bulky grass type with access to screens to my team. After that, I head to Phoenix City's pre-gym and fight the trainers there, but they prove to be far too easy. After fighting a few more trainers around Phoenix and heading to a construction lot where we can't do anything, we head to Pyrite Town, the place where Rui was first kidnapped. In Pyrite Town, we catch a Shadow Quagsire, a Shadow Skiploom, a Shadow Flaffy, a Shadow Noctowl, a Shadow Misdreavus, and a Shadow Slugma. My team consists of Quagsire, Bayleaf, Umbreon, Espeon, Makuhita, and Flaffy at this point, which is a pretty realistic team for someone to have until the very end of the game on a casual playthrough. We fight this delinquent named Kale and catch a Shadow Furret, and learn that Shadow Pokemon are apparently being given out for free to anyone who wins a knockout challenge in the Pyrite Colosseum. We then see Mirror B talking to Sephiroth in a nearby building and learn that he's apparently in on the Shadow Pokemon plot. A man dies in the street, and we return a gear that powers the entire Colosseum, and on duking the Mayor of Pyrite's request, we enter the Colosseum challenge. Colosseum is a challenge where you face 4 battles in a row, which sounds scary at first, but you get healed in between each battle, and if you're using certain Pokemon, the AI just doesn't know what to do. Like, the AI has an obsession with using ground and normal type moves on Misdreavus, for example. After winning the Colosseum challenge quite easily, a grunt takes us over to the building Mirror B was in earlier, before realizing who we are and battling us. This grunt is an absolute joke, but he also has a Shadow Yanma, which isn't great because this is 1 generation before Yanma gets an evolution, but Yanma is still one of my favorite designs for a bug Pokemon. Duking enters the building and tells us that Mirror B kidnapped his Plusle, and that's the reason he's been allowing him to use the Colosseum for this plan. We tell him that we'll get Plusle back only because Rui won't let me say no, and head through a building full of mercenaries with no Shadow Pokemon. Surprisingly enough, even with a scary title like Mercenaries, we still don't lose any Pokemon and make it to the roof where the mayor's assistant is being harassed by a couple of Mirror Bee's goons. Firma and Wreath are their names, and they have a Shadow Remoraid and a Shadow Mantine, which are easily caught with yet again no casualties. We catch one more Shadow Pokemon, a Quillfish, before heading into the Pyrite Cave to track down Mirror Bee. In the cave, we catch a Meditite, a Dunsparce, and a Swablu before finally reaching Mirror Bee, who's just vibing with his Ludicolo. This is the first fight that's really difficult. Mirror Bee is no joke. He leads with Ludicolo and Ludicolo, while I lead with Sunday the Espeon and Umbra the Umbreon. I decide to go full-on offensive against his Ludicolo because they both pose a genuine threat using Rain Dance along with their abilities to heal and boost their speed. The ones with Swift Swim actually love spamming Astonish to force your Pokemon into being unable to move, which sucks. After taking out Ludicolo, Mirror Bee sends in Ludicolo. We also easily deal with the other Ludicolo, and Mirror Bee mixes it up with Ludicolo. After taking out Ludicolo, Mirror Bee sends out his final Pokemon, a Shadow Sudowoodo. I continue focusing Espeon's attacks on Ludicolo and have Flappy paralyze Sudowoodo, but I should have healed Espeon because he gets taken out by a critical hit water gun. That is rough. Espeon is 100% the most powerful special attacker you get in Pokemon Colosseum, and with it dying this early in the game, most people would probably give up right here and now. I decide to continue on without Espeon anyways, and the combination of Flappy, Umbra, and Bayleaf are able to take out Ludicolo and capture Sudowoodo, ending the battle. Mirror Bee flees, and we rescue Plusle from the back room of the cave. Duking allows us to keep Plusle, which would be wonderful if A, it wasn't level 13, and B, there was any way of getting mine in legitimately in this game. Unfortunately though, Plusle is a Pokemon stuck at a low level with a worthless ability, but maybe you'll see use one day. I put Sunday in the PC and add Meditite to the party. The Fortune Teller Fatine tells us to head to Agate Village to the north, which is apparently where we'll learn more about Shadow Pokemon. We do head there, but we leave immediately because I want to buy more Pokeballs. Willie challenges us to a rematch once we arrive at the outskirt stand, but his Linoon and Zigzagoon combo don't stand a chance. We head to Egan's house and inform the old man that Rue is kidnapped before learning that Cipher, the group we've been fighting up until now, has invaded the Sacred Relic Forest. Egan hurries there and we hurry after him, fighting grunts in the woods where we can. Then I head back to the Pokemon Center to grab the ferret we caught earlier as a sacrifice, because I know full well how difficult the upcoming battle is. Upon heading to the Relic Stone at the end of the forest, we witness something truly incredible. The legendary trainer Egan fights Cipher Peon Scrub with a level 50 Pikachu, and loses to a level 38 Shadow Hitmontop because he only uses Quick Attack. That leaves it up to us to avenge his Pikachu, which is rough. Scrub is very likely the most difficult trainer in all of Pokemon Colosseum until the final boss. His Pokemon are close to level 40, and up to this point, the only Pokemon we've obtained that can level up at all are Umbreon, Espeon, and Plusle. And since this is a Nuzlocke and Espeon is dead, yeah, there's no chance in hell here. On top of the powerful Shadow Pokemon, Scrub also has a Wynot with Shadow Tag and a Geodude with Magnitude, which can be way more threatening than they sound. Once Hitmontop comes out, my Pokemon start dropping like flies, so this is where the Scrub Claws comes in. The Scrub Claws means that any Pokemon that faint against Scrub don't count. Why? Because his name is fucking stupid and I make the rules in my own Nuzlocke, plus I was getting frustrated at the time of the recording. After fighting Scrub, he says he's heading to Mount Battle to the north to tell his commander about his failure. Egan says that the Relic Stone must have something to do with purifying Pokemon and to head north to help the area leader Vander fend off Cipher. Before doing that, I purify my entire team. Upon earning back all the experience they should have learned as a Shadow Pokemon, Flaffy evolves into Ampharos and gets nicknamed Fluffy, Makuhita evolves into Hariyama and gets nicknamed Megalovania, Bayleaf evolves into Meganium and gets nicknamed Megan, and Quagsire gets nicknamed Todd Showered. After purifying the team, we finally head to Mount Battle, where we face 9 trainers. After fighting a few, we finally purify Meditite, who evolves into Medicham and gets nicknamed Meditits, and then face the Cipher admin in charge of the Mount Battle takeover, Dakim. He punches the area leader and tries to steal an item called the Time Flute, but he can't legally punch me since I'm the protagonist, so I'm not too scared of him. Dakim's whole strategy is using Earthquake and Protect, and his team is not too shabby. He leads with a Metang and Marshtomp, and I lead with Megan and Todd Showered. Marshtomp is easily taken out in one turn by Razor Leaf and Surf, and Dakim sends in Camerupt to replace it. I use Megan's turn to heal up Todd Showered, which turns out to save her life because Metang gets a critical hit with Psychic. I heal her again and switch Megan out for Umbra to avoid getting hit by that Camerupt's Flamethrower. I keep spamming heals on Todd Showered, but Camerupt keeps using Protect to avoid Surf, which is getting pretty annoying at this point. One more turn and Surf finally hits, finishing off Metang and dealing significant damage to Camerupt. His next Pokemon is Golem, which I know means Dakim is about to start spamming Earthquakes. Todd Showered finishes Camerupt with Surf, but this is bad news. Dakim's final Pokemon is a Shadow Entei. But Dakim doesn't care if he knocks it out. He will gladly spam Earthquake on Golem with Reckless Abandon despite the fact that Entei doesn't know Protect. Entei hits Umbra with Fire Blast, and Golem finishes him with Earthquake, killing the second of our 2 starters. Luckily, Entei survives the Earthquake as well as Todd Showered's Surf. However, Golem survives Surf. I decide to do my best to catch Entei right now, switching from Todd to Megan and finishing Golem with Confusion, and luckily, I catch it in the 3rd Pokeball. One more Shadow Rush, and it would have knocked itself out. I got extremely lucky here. Dakim jumps off the mountain after Scrub tells him about the Relic Forest, and we help Vander up after picking up a disc that Dakim dropped. He gives us the Time Flute, which can be used to instantly purify any Shadow Pokemon 1 time. We use this flute on Entei and name him Detroit before heading to a mysterious lab in the middle of the desert. With no way in, we're forced to look for something else to do in the Ore region. We head to the jail in Pyrite Town and steal a key from the belt of one of Mirror B's goons. After challenging the Fenix Stadium for some experience, money, and TMs, and buying some new Pokeballs from the outskirt stand, we use the elevator in the Pyrite building to head to an underground city known simply as the Under. Once we arrive, a lady named Venus gives an announcement to the city that some spies have just arrived, and apparently she's like a cult leader to the people of the Under because they're all obsessed with her. There's even an old man who goes into cardiac arrest while screaming her name. After getting a part for a satellite dish and giving it to a group of child hackers called the Kids Grid, we see a cutscene of Sephiroth talking to Venus and a scientist named Ein, saying that the Shadow Pokemon plan must be sped up. Ein returns to his lab using an entrance in the Under, and after meeting the Kids Grid in person and catching a Shadow Ledian from a pair of Cipher Grunts literally named Cloak and Dagger, we head to Venus' studio using a disc obtained from Duking's assistant Silva to face her in battle. Venus' team is built just to annoy you. Her strategy is to spam Confusion and Infatuation, the 2 most annoying status conditions in the game. I lead with Detroit and Megalovania, easily knocking out her Steelix and Delcatty in a single turn. She sends out Vileplume and Banette next, and while Detroit still Fire Blast Vileplume to death in 1 hit, Banette is able to stick around a while longer. Venus' final Pokemon is a Shadow Suicune. I switched Detroit out for Fluffy so that Suicune can't knock them out with Surf, but unfortunately I used Earthquake with Todd Showered and forgot to use Protect on Fluffy, resulting in her untimely death. With Metatits and Todd Showered on the field, I managed to easily capture Suicune in a netball thanks to Fluffy paralyzing it before her death. After that, Venus runs away and I head to the Under Colosseum to adjust my team setup. Now a smart person would add Suicune right away, but I decide I'm going to take a chance. Plusle deserves a chance. So after stuffing a ton of candy down its throat, Plusle joins the crew and we head after Venus. Venus takes the elevator down, so we're forced to take the stairs to run after her. On the way down, we capture a Shadow Gligar, a Shadow Stantler, which unfortunately kills Plusle after getting hit by a Thunder, a Shadow Piloswine, and a Shadow Sneasel. After laying Plusle to rest, I add Stantler to the team since Intimidate is a great ability, and catch up to Venus in the subway station. She manages to escape, bragging that we'll never enter the lab without the key for the subway, but she drops the key on her way out. We use the subway to reach the lab underground, but the 2 Cipher peons there recognize us and literally blow a hole in the floor of the lab. That doesn't really matter though. We find a key to the lab's front entrance, find a second Time Flute, which I foolishly used on Stantler, who I named Pissed, and head to the Shadow Pokemon lab. In the lab, there's a white guy complaining about discrimination because he has to pick some stuff up from a warehouse. That's not relevant, I just think it's kind of funny. In the lab, I managed to catch a few Shadow Pokemon, but in the process of trying to catch a Shadow Apom, Metatits gets taken out by a Cast Form's Weather Ball. What an embarrassing way to go. Hitmontop joins the team as a replacement, and for the double Intimidate with Stantler, but Stantler gets taken out by a random Magnemite's Thunder, so that didn't last long. Pissed gets replaced by Suicune, and then I head to Mount Battle to battle until I can purify both Suicune and Hitmontop, who I named Foggy and Potmonty, respectively. There's no way to pronounce Potnomty in one try, so I'm just gonna give myself that one. Heading back to the lab again, I capture a Shadow Murkrow, a Shadow Forretress, a Shadow Vibrava, and a Shadow Granbull. And I intentionally kill a Shadow Ariados because fuck spiders. I decide to replace Hariyama with Vibrava since Flygon is too good to pass up, and use some DNA samples I found earlier to unlock the door to fight Scrub again. This battle doesn't matter, the Scrub Clause applies to both fights. Scrub Clause is also convenient because Scrub is the only trainer throughout the main story who uses a Wobbuffet. In the lab's basement, we fight Ein at last, the head scientist of Cipher. Ein is probably the most threatening one, honestly. He uses a Rain Dance and Thunder strategy, but he also has a decent enough variety in his moves. However, this is actually the first Cipher admin who doesn't take out any of my Pokemon. I easily breeze through Altaria, Golbat, Huntail, and Lantern, and I catch a Shadow Raikou without any real issue. We take a Data ROM from Ein before he escapes and hand it off to Net in the Under, who says that despite the fact it was scrubbed of all data, he should be able to recover a list of Shadow Pokemon from it. After that, we head to Pyrite Colosseum and grind to purify Vibrava, who evolves into Flygon and gets nicknamed E. Before heading to the final area of the game, Realgum Tower, I decided I needed to grind on Mount Battle. Realgum Tower is infamous for having a ridiculous difficulty spike at the very end of the game, with opponents' Pokemon's levels jumping from 50 to 60 in one battle. While grinding, Hitmontop dies, boo-hoo, he gets replaced by Raikou. About a third of the way through my grinding, Entei finally learns Flamethrower instead of Fire Blast, and I head to Agate Village to finally purify Raikou, who I nicknamed Popo. Now, it's time for Realgum Tower. This area starts with rematches against Cipher admins and serves as a second chance to catch their shadow Pokemon if you failed any of them before. Luckily, we didn't. The first one we face is Mirror B, who no longer has his iconic music. He's not a challenge at all whatsoever this time, with his team still having an unevolved Pokemon in the form of Loudred this late in the game. Next up is Dakim, who again is really no challenge, other than the challenge of not tossing a rock at his head for using a Whiscash on his team, of course. Suicune knows Ice Beam at this point, so his Flygon doesn't pose a real threat, and his team really just follows the same format as last time where he spams Earthquake and Protect, so it's really not that hard to connect the dots on how to beat him. For the next two admins, we have to fight Cipher Peons for some reason. Before fighting Venus, we capture a Shadow Sunflora. Venus herself once again poses no issue, with Attract being a lot less scary when half your team is genderless or female. Before fighting Ein, we catch a Shadow Delibird, probably the most worthless Shadow Pokemon in the game besides Ledian. Ein's team is once again probably the most well-constructed of the admins. He has a Starmie, a Rhydon, a Crobat, a Manectric, and a Pelipper. His strategy this time is supposedly Lightning Rod, as half his team is weak to Electric while Rhydon and Manectric both have Lightning Rod for their abilities. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean much when I have a Quagsire and a Flygon to take them out before switching into a Raikou. After Ein leaves, Egan fails to send us an email, so we go to check on him. He gives us a Master Ball, which finally gives us access to the Infinite Master Ball glitch, meaning Shadow Pokemon are essentially a non-issue in battle now. Before heading into the main part of Realgum Tower, we catch a Heracross from a random Cipher Peon who fell from the ceiling. This would be a fantastic addition to the team if I wasn't already confident in my Pokemon, but Suicune, Raikou, Entei, Flygon, Quagsire, and Meganium is a pretty fantastic group of Pokemon, honestly. We meet Silva, Duking's assistant, once again, head upstairs and meet up with Sephiroth, who says he'll meet us in the tower's Colosseum, and fight Gonzap, the leader of Team Snagem. We learn that Team Snagem was funded by Cipher to steal powerful Pokemon from trainers using the Snag Machine, and Wes presumably left Cipher because he had a moral issue with that whole deal. We capture Gonzap's Shadow Skarmory, and he tells us to go on ahead and face our final challenge in the Tower Colosseum. Tower Colosseum is very similar to the Pyrite Town Knockout Challenge. However, you don't get to heal between battles. Luckily, by playing it smart, I'm able to get through all 4 preliminary battles with no deaths while catching a Shadow Miltank, a Shadow Absol, a Shadow Houndoom, and a Shadow Tropius. After that, Sephiroth finally challenges us himself.
Bravo, bravo. Well done. Why not become a Cipher show battle trainer? Would you even consider it? I'll vouch that you'll become a top star in no time. I wouldn't have minded making that proposition, but I'm afraid I'm not that big-hearted. I will destroy you in battle right now. You will know the humiliation of total domination before this crowd.
So anyways, we wipe the floor with Sephiroth using Raikou, Suicune, and Entei and catch a Shadow Metagross using the Master Ball glitch. We were in no danger whatsoever throughout the entire battle since we were pretty much even with his Pokemon level-wise. But after defeating him, he apologizes to someone. The mayor of Phoenix City, who we literally haven't seen since the beginning of the game. I should have known. No, really, I should have. Sephiroth walked out of his house in the beginning of the game, and Mirror B was able to just hang out in there, although to be fair, I would also allow Mirror B to hang out in my home unsupervised. Evice is the hardest final boss in the Pokemon series, second probably only to Cynthia. He led with Salamence and Machamp, while I led with Popo and Foggy. I attempted to set up Rain Dance with Popo, and while I was successful, Salamence started setting up Dragon Dance. Luckily, Foggy managed to take it out with a critical hit Ice Beam, but Evice's Machamp used Earthquake. While this did luckily do a bit of damage to Evice's Slacking as well, it killed Popo in one hit, which hurt, man. Popo was the newest member of the team, but he still deserved better than that. Evice's Slacking is probably his most powerful Pokemon, although luckily he doesn't get to use his main strategy with it in this battle. Usually he'd send out his Slowking at the same time and use Skill Swap on his Slacking to make it so Slacking can attack every turn. Not this time. Machamp manages to take out Foggy as well, marking 2 deaths to Evice's 1, so I switched Detroit in. I misclick and use Giga Drain with Meganium while Evice uses X attacks on both of his Pokemon. I meant to set up Sun with Detroit and use Solar Beam with Meganium, but since I misclicked, Slacking lives another turn, and has an attack boost. Detroit manages to take slacking back down to half after a full restore, and Megan almost knocks out Machamp with Solar Beam. But now Machamp is using Bulk Up to increase stats even more. Evice uses another full restore on slacking, so it survives another flamethrower. But luckily, Megan finally puts a stop to Machamp. Evice sends in Scizor next, which Detroit easily melts with a sun-boosted flamethrower, and Evice sends in Slowking. Luckily, Slacking uses Earthquake and gets a critical hit one-shot on Slowking, preventing him from using his skill swap strategy. His final Pokemon is his Shadow Tyranitar, which whips up a Sandstorm. I know if I want to win this battle at this point, I need to sacrifice Detroit to take out Slacking now, since Sandstream prevented Megan from using Solar Beam. So Detroit uses the Flamethrower, getting a critical hit, and finally taking out Slacking, in exchange for having Megan do half Tyranitar's health with Solar Beam, and losing their life to a critical hit Shadow Rush. I send in Flygon, throw one final Master Ball, and that's it. I beat the Pokemon Colosseum Nuzlocke. Evice gets arrested for being an all-around bad dude and for literally killing 3 legendary Pokemon, and Ho-Oh shoots down his escape helicopter out of nowhere. A happy ending to a crazy game. Also, Tsunekazu Ishihara's name is misspelled in the credits.